Welcome everyone to Member Spotlight. I am here with the great Kayla and Nicole.
That's me.
Yeah, that's me. That's you, not me. So looking into this, I had to get the date because it's been a long time and I couldn't figure out what the date was, but we started in 2017. So it's been 5 years, 5 long years with one another.
It's a lot of growth.
It's so much growth.
Said a lot of things. Heard a lot of stories.
Heard a lot of stories, said a lot of things, changed a lot of lives. Mm-hmm. So it was so interesting with your story, with like how we met. It's really interesting that you're coming from, training with another trainer that we had, and then, I inherited you, mm-hmm. and I kind of knew when you started, because you started with a semi-private. You started with like 2 other people.
I did.
In that group. And I can kind of tell off the bat, like I said, not to out those 2 or I could kind of tell off the bat that you were a little bit more involved, more serious about wanting to change, I would say probably wanting to challenge yourself more, I would say, right?
Yeah, the group training, it wasn't for me. I know it works for a lot of people, but it wasn't for me personally. I just need like that one-on-one and no distractions, and not everybody is there for the same reasons, and they're not as serious about it, and I knew that I was, so going from the semi-private to just the one-on-one with you was a lot better for me personally.
Yeah, I noticed that you respond better to those types of cues, and I feel like for you, you have you're hard to bond with, so but you have to work for that person's trust, and that's a big one, and I mean, me, I kind of give that trust or that respect right away, and then it's really hard to get it back if you lose it. But with you, it's really hard to gain that, which is good. It's just a different personality type, which I'm used to. And I'll tell a couple stories after that. But so seeing you go from the semi-private training to the one-on-one training, what type of stuff, where were you at, actually, first of all, where were you at then? Because I know a very different person is in front of me now compared to what that person was then.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So kind of where were you at then mentally, physically, before you kind of have adopted this very clear structure? I mean, we'll put before and after pictures, but I think there's a lot of mental growth there.
I think it was definitely a lot of mental growth for me. In 2017, when we started, I was kind of stuck in my ways, stubborn. I just thought not that was it for me, but I thought I had a clear idea of everything I was doing and it's going to work. And then I just started slowly understanding that I didn't know anything. I didn't know what I was doing. And I was in a relationship for a very long time, and then I came out of that, and I was, doing my own thing, a lot of drinking, a lot of smoking weed, and those things I just couldn't continue to be stuck in that lifestyle and that mentality anymore.
I think that
to see the bigger picture. Yeah,
for what I've noticed the most with you is the most amount of lifestyle choices and changes, small ones, but those small ones that really, really would show in your mental capacity. It would show in your ability to push yourself. It would also show that you were changing in a way that maybe you didn't really understand at the time, and you obviously, I'd hope to know at some point you were like, this is going to be you, but I'd see you come in on when you were supposed to train, you'd be like, oh, I'm hungover, or I'm this, or, or I'm stressed out about this. And you were kind of in that slum that a lot of us do, where we're kind of complaining about just dumb shit.
Yeah.
We're really just
things that you are totally capable of controlling. Everything I complained about I was doing to myself.
Yeah.
And you always said something to me, and it still sticks with me, small things done well every day add up. Yes. You started saying that to me, and you would say it more and more, and it stuck with me. And now, when my alarm clock goes off in the morning, that's something that's in the alarm. It's just like a small affirmation for myself, good morning, you're beautiful, you're strong, you can do it. And then small things done well every day add up. And I thank you for that.
Thank you. I really appreciate that. Anyway, so yeah, seeing you grow that way has been a great experience for me, because I think I always saw that kind of in you, because it reminded me of kind of how I was for a really long time. And even in the past 6 months, I've changed in some of the things, like the days that I like don't do things. I was like, all right, pick those days to go do something different, something that's going to get your heart rate up, something. And I don't mean like just like, yeah, physically, but something's going to challenge you, something that's going to make you better, not just go out drinking, not just, smoke or do anything like that. It's like, or just make crappy choices that we want, like you're saying. You're in control of that. You're the one doing this to yourself, but you're gonna blame everybody else. So I think the big changes came when you started to take a better look in the mirror, and you're going, hey, I don't like where this is going. I'm actively participating in my own destruction.
Yep.
Yeah. And when I saw those when I started to see those types of changes, you kind of went through that rough stage. Like I remember with like, who am I? But at that point I started to see you push way more physically. Like it was just like, you're like, what is that? Let's do that. I'd bring in a new piece of equipment. You're like, what is that? Let's do that. All for one. She doesn't like the reverse hyper, which it's an amazing piece of equipment that you do need. And she absolutely hates it. But all the other things, I know she really, really hates it. But it was such a great thing to see. Like I said, you progress and go, what's that? I want to try that. What's that? I want to do that. So I feel like in this 5 years, like I said, of knowing you, and that's such a huge chunk of our lives. Like a lot of our lives are spent.
It was from the time, so I just turned 30 like last week. So it was from the time I was 25 to 30. Yeah. So it was like an important part of your life. You know what I mean? I feel like a lot of people go through a lot in those years, and I know that I definitely did.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I saw the most growth. Yeah. And you might be, I think there's something to that. It was a critical growth age gap there from 25 to 30. I know that when I was 25, it was not good, yeah. So like I said, to see you from there to here is awesome. Talking about those types of mental changes, something that you and I talk about, and we talk about this a lot, and I think it's because we have a similar wavelength now as far as what we want out of our lives. We want to live with purpose. We have self-respect for our family, friends, and relationships now, where maybe we didn't then. I want to talk to you about the friend group changes in the people around you changes. I think that's something you and I talk about a lot. Definitely. What's the difference? Like where's that at now compared to then?
For me, it was, I realized like people are hitting you up for, oh, do you want to go smoke? Do you want to go to the bar? Do you want to go do things like that? And then when you cut those things off, and I'm like, no, I don't smoke anymore. People stop. They don't want to hang out with you anymore because, that's such a big part of everything. Mm-hmm. But for me, it was too a lot of, if you're not bringing anything positive to my life, and every time we're hanging out, you're complaining about things that you can change, it's so draining. It's so tiring, because then your energy rubs off on me, and I'm an energy person. I don't want to be around that all the time. And I started becoming more aware of that and realizing like, wow, this person, every time I'm around this person, my energy is drained. I get back in the house and I'm like, whew, a weight has been lifted off my shoulders now that I'm not in the car with him, whoever anymore. But I think the people you have in your circle do play a big part in pushing you and giving you that kick in the ass. And I know you did that for me. You always give me a kick in the ass when I need it, and I appreciate that. But then there's some people who they don't want to see you doing better than them. And I think that a lot of people that I used to hang out with, that was their problem. They always saw me like, wow, if I say I'm going to do it, I'm going to do it. And I think for some people that's intimidating, because they get reluctant to do things. Like they want to do things, but they don't know how to. Well, I'll figure it out. Yeah. It may take me a little while or whatever. I may have to ask for help, but I'll figure it out. And I think for me, it was realizing that. Yeah. People don't always want to see you doing better than them. Yeah, it's like, whether it's with your health, your relationship, your job, everything. You know what I mean?
They might not always have your best intentions.
Right.
And it's, he's literally the one that said it. I have a painting of Jordan Peterson right there. It's like, be careful who you share good news with.
Yeah.
It's like, so when you're like, oh, I'm doing really great, and what we've noticed and what you and I have talked about, if you're talking to a friend or even a family member, and you tell them something that's happened to you, and they try to like one up it with their bad news, they didn't really listen to you.
Yeah.
They didn't really want to help you. They wanted to just tell you how their bad day was going too. Now, it's also equally important is be careful who you share good news with too, and you notice this with friend groups as well. If you share good news and they just pass right by it and go right into complaining or
change the subject.
Or change the, that's the big one. And I noticed that with a lot of my family members, a lot of my friends, and that's hurtful.
Definitely.
And that'll leave you quiet. It'll leave you reserved, yes, and calculated in your speech when you talk to people. And I noticed that too with you a lot, is you're more calculated with your speech, with what you do, with who you tell. But in that lesson of that huge lesson, you also have the great pleasure to understand who you want in your circle, which is it's the biggest realization ever. And unfortunately, some people will never get there. It's not for everybody.
One of my friends, her name's Cassandra, years ago, I'm talking like maybe 2009, she said something to me, and it's something that also has stuck with me. She said, people come into your life for a reason, a season, or a lifetime.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I think I take a step back when I'm dealing with like, oh, why am I friends with this person? Like, is it your season? Your season's up, you know what I mean? Because what's the reason?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I have a couple friends that I feel like are lifetime friends, but to be honest with you, most of them are just for the season.
For the season, yeah.
And I'm starting to let those people go and just like, what's the point of hanging on? You know what I mean?
Sometimes it's more painful to hang on than to let
just
go.
Nip it in the butt and get it over with.
Yeah. And you also have to have uncomfortable conversations. And if you can have uncomfortable conversation with friends and they're still there, they're real friends.
Yeah. My whole thing too is I don't ever like to feel like I'm wasting my time.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like that at all. If it's a friendship, a relationship, a job, whatever, it's something like, I just don't like to feel like I'm wasting my time.
Yeah. And it also with friendship too, so it shouldn't be this hard.
Yeah, right.
Like when you're sitting there and
right.
if those people who are listening and they some people get really weird with people who are like minded like us, where they're like, oh, you just think you're too good. Well, maybe, yes. Maybe I am. And
maybe I took that step.
Exactly.
That you haven't taken yet.
Exactly. Where your time is valuable. What you're doing is purposeful. And you're living with intent. You're not living just wandering around anymore. You know what you want out of your relationship. We kind of hit on that. Your friends, we hit on that. And you know what you want out of your health and wellness. So the thing is I consider all of those things linked, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Most of the time when you see somebody that's pretty healthy in body and also has healthy relationships with their friends, they usually have good relationships with their partners or boyfriends, girlfriends, whatever.
Yeah.
And, so that's a big one too. We have a friend mutual, you probably used Matt today. Did you look at the house?
Tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh, he came with me the other day.
So just to touch on, that we have somebody that we know, his name's Matt. He's a great guy. One of the best guys I've ever met, and to make a friend, was 6 years ago, it's not late in my life, but that's, a later friend. And now to consider him a good friend because I can share good news with him and he will be like, we are going out. We're going to go out to dinner. I'm going to take you out or vice versa. I remember when he started his company, I was so excited that I said, I'm coming over right now. And he was like, you don't, I'm like, I hung up the phone. I'm like, I'm already over there, and I brought him a bottle of Mitchers and, it was just great. We sat on his back deck and talked business and health, wellness, happiness, all of those things. So, Yes.
It's like a refreshing feeling.
Oh
like,
my God, such a refreshing feeling.
No competition.
Yeah.
There's no like secret animosity, anything like that. It's like so refreshing when you have that person.
Yeah, it really, really is. So we talked about, like I said, those two things that we talk about a lot, which is one, the small things done well add up. And I'm really glad that stuck with you because it stuck with me. It's how I built my whole life. And I think it's also like, you might, just because you might be struggling currently, like I said, just kind of keep those small steps. I'm taking some big leaps, with my company, big leaps, all over.
Yeah.
And it's hard, man, because you're risking a lot, and if you might fail. But the thing is like those small steps, just keep them going, keep plugging along, just see how it goes. And it usually adds up to something really great at the end. Now, as far as with the physical side with you, I think we started off, and I can't remember how much you weighed.
Oh, I weighed 133 pounds.
Yeah, it was 133, and
I was like 130 or 133. I found a picture of the paper.
Okay.
With my body
percent and weight, yeah.
And the weight on it it was like sometime in 2017, and I was 133. Almost 200 pounds.
No, you're not. What is your weight?
When we weighed in on Monday, I weighed 173.
Okay, so 173. So let's
40 pounds.
Let's talk about
cake.
In cake. Yeah. Let's talk about where we gained it. So Kayla and I had this conversation where we really wanted to build the bottom half of her body. We wanted to build the glutes up. We wanted to build the cake. You know what I mean? That's what we're here to do,
And listen, ladies, it took 5 years.
Yeah.
It wasn't like one workout, and I'm like, oh, shit, no.
No.
I'd leave and be like, where's my ass, Ben? Where's the ass?
She really would. She'd leave. Like, where is it? And I'm like, dude, it's coming. It's coming in the mail. Amazon shipping's been a little weird lately. But what we did was we really focused on basic fundamentals of lifting, deadlifting, squats, which is what we practice here, large compound movements. Those are all harder movements.
Also, too, I think we should talk about how when I started, I had been in like multiple car accidents.
Yes.
My back hurt me all the time. Now I have like no back pain. If I do, it's sore because I've lifted a lot, but it's not like the pain I was experiencing every single day where I couldn't sleep. Everything always hurt. And I never thought that I'd be able to lift what I lift now, squat, deadlift, anything. It's serious night and day in that aspect. And then I got in that car accident last year, and I still came to work out.
Yeah, I remember that too.
My face was all broken.
It's the dumbest. Sorry.
I can't work out tomorrow.
So yeah, all right.
My face is broken.
I was at a UFC event, and I get like a message, and it's like her with her face swolled up.
Oh, it was bad. My nose was broken. My whole entire face was swollen.
Gets in a car accident, and she's telling me, I don't think I'm going to make my workout tomorrow. I'm like, dude, stop. It doesn't matter. What are you doing? Just, are you okay? Go to the hospital, go get checked out. You're fine. That's commitment right there. That is commitment. You literally, it was like 11, and you were like, yo, I can't make it work out. I'm like, you're fine.
I've been thinking about it for an hour, and I don't think.
But then you still showed up. What was it, like a couple days later?
Yeah, because I think
we
at
rescheduled.
That time we were working out 2 days a week still,
yes,
so that was like a Monday, and then
you were there on a Thursday. Yeah. That's that's commitment. I'll take that all day. But you're right. You were coming in from having a really bad car accident, and what we saw was in her spinal erectors on her spine, where it runs down, we saw one that was very underactive, and then one was overactive, which is very common. And so what we did was we had to focus on strengthening her spine, strengthening her abdominal muscles, because otherwise she can't actually put tension on her glutes, her hamstrings, her quads. So we had to build her up, and then when you got in that accident again, we had to pull it back a little bit, and then you had surgery. We had to pull that back a little bit.
Surgery too on my stomach.
Yeah, so it was one of those things where
two times actually.
Yeah, twice.
Surgeries on my stomach.
And she never quit and never stopped. It was always, hey, it'd been a couple of weeks, or she'd heal for a little bit and then she'd come back. And that's the thing with strength training, resiliency, small things done well mentality is, yes, you're going to have those momentary bits in your life where you're not going to be able to do 100%. Yeah. But what does she do? She does 20% or 30%, 40% of whatever she could do. And that was a great thing to see, because what it was is that was that mental change. You were mentally getting tougher, and then you physically were getting tougher. And so now, like I said, to see you now coming from 133 pounds to now, what, 173, 173.
I fluctuate between the 173, 177.
Yeah. And we should probably talk about that too. Like I said, being a female and gaining weight and gaining in strength and muscle mass. How has that been for you? Was that kind of like a huge realization for you to kind of...
Yeah, I just like snapped out of that like skinny is in and skinny is cute and beautiful thing. I was like, I like how her body looks with that muscle and ass. And then too, I realized like working out and seeing those body types, like that's commitment. You know, these people are waking up and they're choosing to work out and they're choosing to take that hour and a half aside out of their day and focus on themselves and their mental clarity and physical well-being. And for me, I was like, I need that. I need to do that.
Yeah, it was a good move on your part. And I told you, I was like, hey, it was like, you know, you're going to have to gain, you know what I mean? And that's a weird
conversation to have, I guess.
It is strange when you tell somebody that they have to gain weight and they're not used to hearing that they have to gain weight. Yeah. But I didn't want there to be any lies between us. I knew, I find that being as honest as possible is usually the best possible thing you can do. So when I was like, hey, you got to eat a little bit more, your protein needs to be on point, your carbs need to be on point, and Kayla's used our Avatar app, which we partnered with, and she uses MyFitnessPal to track her protein, carbs, and fats, which is, we recommend that every time.
That definitely was something, you know, in the beginning I was hesitant about because I just love to eat.
Yeah,
love to eat food.
Or make it fun. Like you don't want to have to put it in.
I realized, like, you know, okay, I'm in control of this. I can weigh it out. You know, just it was only a couple months ago that I actually got the scale.
Yeah.
And then I started doing that, and I was like, wow, this is definitely an improvement, and it can still be fun. It can still be yummy. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. With the nutritional side, it's always hard. I've found with anybody, it's always hard with people when you're trying to tell them, hey, you need to eat a little bit more, if you want to gain in those areas in which you want to see changes. I mean, you obviously, like I said, can build muscle mass, while you maintain or in a slight surplus. And for you, like I said, we've gone up over the past 5 years, and it's been a very obvious way. Like I said, we did a lot of large compound lifts. Becoming a stronger female, I think, is a really good goal for a lot of young females to kind of hear that, like, hey, it's okay to be strong.
Yeah.
And I think it should be. I think you should be fit. You should be healthy, because it's such an attractive mindset, quality, body type, all of those things. You know, come on, like what are we doing here? But I understand, like I said, when you tell somebody that they have to eat more and they've been told, like, hey, I shouldn't eat that much or I shouldn't do this. Mm-hmm. Now here you are eating, and now you're seeing all those gains that we're getting.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's a tough thing to say. It's a tough thing to say and
also,
understand.
Too, for me, it was like I thought all these foods had so much protein in them,
and
then when I get to the bottom of it and I'm weighing it out, or I'm starting to now look at the back of everything, I'm like, what the hell?
Yeah,
this actually has like no protein in it.
But it says protein on it.
But it says, like, you know what I mean? And
it'll be like protein plus, and it's like 10 grams. You're like, that's nothing for me.
Yeah, that's gonna do nothing for me.
Well, it's not going to get you to protein, which is always what all of our clients have problems with. It's always their protein, hitting their protein. Carbs and fats, those are easy to hit. I mean, why not? Mm-hmm. You know, but protein always seems to be the hardest one to hit.
So I started doing the shakes and
Yes.
like one like chocolatey or vanilla, whatever shake in the morning. And then I got that fruity one that I can have with water throughout the day.
That's a good one too. Yeah, that's a good one.
20 to 25 grams. So that right there is
40 to 50
help.
grams, which is usually what you were deficient in with your meals.
Yeah.
So that's a big one. And that's a huge hit with supplements. I mean, it's not something that I do as much. I mean, I do a shake maybe once every other day, every 3 days, maybe. But I get a lot of protein. I know to eat a little bit more, and I like that. But for some people, supplementing that in with shakes is such a beneficial way. Like I said, no problem with it, but it's like, do whatever you need to do to hit your protein. That's the big one. So your nutrition improved drastically. That's probably the largest thing with you that I've seen in the past year, which is your nutrition has improved dramatically. But also your consistency to go out on your own. Like we were talking, she went from semi-private to 2 days a week for a very long time, sometimes even 3 days a week with the private training. And then we switched with our programming that we had. I had created the hybrid program, which is 1 day a week, and then I write your program for you, or we write your program for you so you can train in the gym that you go to, whatever your hometown gym or whatever. How do you like that so far?
I love that.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I know that I can walk into the gym and I'm like, well, what am I going to do today? So it just helps me like know exactly what I'm going to do when I walk in there. I don't waste no time.
Yeah, which is a big thing for you. Is like, I don't want to waste time.
And I go in the morning, so I get to the gym usually for 7:30, and then I have to go to work for 10:30, sometimes till 10:30 at night. So I don't have that time to waste. I got to work out, I got to cook food, and then I got to get straight to the day. And
then there's usually a lot of people there too. So when you're able to actually know your plan, it's like you can navigate through other people. You don't have to be like, oh, I got to do this. It's like, just go do your thing.
Oh yeah, when we first started working out 5 years ago, I never would have walked into like the weightlifting area of the gym. Nope, I'm all set. I will stick to the machines. I don't know what I'm doing over there. Now I walk straight there. I'm like, okay. And sometimes other girls will ask me like, oh, I watched you work out today. Like, how do you use this machine? Or
that's huge.
You're really kicking ass today. I love that. Those things really make me feel better. I noticed this a couple weeks ago. I was at the gym and I deadlifted heavy, and I'm like, I have a hard time, and not just with the gym in general, of showing like excitement.
Yeah.
Like I'll be like, in my inside, I'm like, oh my God, bitch, you just deadlifted 220. Yes. But then like my outside is like,
I guess it's okay. Yeah.
That's great. And then I get in the car and I'm like, yeah, that was me.
Dude, you got to celebrate.
Strong.
You got to. I mean, that's that like you, but that's you.
I got to start celebrating more in the gym. I don't give a fuck.
That's what you got to do. That's the battling against ourselves stuff. Like that's the imposter syndrome in us. Cause I do the same thing. Now I'm much more confident now, but so I'll be like, yeah, let's go, but
smack the weights.
Smack the weight. That's what I smack the weights. You got to let it know. You got to establish dominance. So definitely seriously work on that to like celebrate more, because that's huge. And people want to see that. They want to see you happy. And, going to the gym, like especially like those public gyms like that, like I've been spoiled. I get private gyms all over the place, which is great. But when I used to go to a public gym, I remember like, you'd be like,
Yeah. It's like almost like everyone's so serious, but why? Why are we being serious?
I think it's
just working out.
That's the thing. It's like the masculine. I don't want to say the masculinity. I think it's just like trying to be cool. Where for a long time, people were like, you are so unapproachable at a gym. And I'm like, dude, I'm the silliest guy on the planet. And then once I started to realize like, oh, this is how people are seeing me.
Yeah.
And then you start to have fun. You start to notice you attract the people who you want to have around that are like, oh, this guy seems like he's killing it, but he's also doing a good job. And same with you. And you'll attract those people that are like, man, she looks like a lot of like fun. Like we could actually like lift and like have a good time, So
I started to like noticing for me, just me personally, like if I put on a cute outfit too, that helps.
Oh yeah.
The girl.
Oh yeah. Yeah. The girl, they're like
side of the conversation.
You killing it.
Like, oh, cute Fit girl. Thank you.
You're like, thank you. My hands are sore. Their hands are like all calloused up and
Jesus
bleeding.
Christ.
Yeah. See, I knew today, like I said, when we talked about sitting down together and doing this, I knew that it was going to be great from start to finish, because that road that you've been on, there really has been so many different challenges.
And I don't mind talking about
what
I've done.
Well, but that's also important too, because you've changed. Like you're not going to go back to it, you know. When we were just talking, off camera, and we talked a lot about attention. We talked a lot about posting things and receiving things, and kind of like where our lives were at, why we are the way that we are, which I think is also equally as valuable, with what we were talking about. The way I grew up was I never thought that I would be here. Like I never thought that I would be a business owner. I always thought I was just trash. You know, I'll be honest, like for me, you know, I had a really dysfunctional family, I had a really dysfunctional childhood and everything. So to talk about, to be healthy, you know, wasn't on my radar. It's just not even something you even think will happen to you. You know, so I remember, I mean, like my journey's very long as far as with health and wellness, kind of coming into who I am now, and that I would enjoy to do it. But we were talking about kind of like what we do on social media. And I think that was big. That's a big change, you know, at least for me. When I very first started exercising and training, it becomes very much about your body.
Right.
Look at what I can do. Look at how I'm doing this. Look at the manipulation of my body, all that. I did that for a really long time. And now I'm doing it like, this is how good I feel. This is what working out or training or having a confident, competent body has done to me outside of the gym and training. Like I can go for hikes, I can climb, I can run, I can do a race at short notice because I'm in, fairly good shape. So how does that kind of affected your life?
I think it's similar. Like you said, I didn't think that I would be here in the position I am today at 30 years old. My mom had me when she was 15, so I grew up with all the same challenges. And then to know that today at 30, I'm in this place, I have money in the bank, I have a good head on my shoulders, I'm healthy, not just physically, but mentally. I think that now the things that I'm posting on my Instagram and social media have shifted. It's not so much like before I was modeling, so it was more racy photos at times, things like that. But now it's just about the fitness, and I'm not doing it for really the attention aspect, but to show people like, yes, I'm here today, and I'm strong mentally and physically, and I'm not doing it for the attention of the males, because more or less it's the attention of the females. I like when the girls are like, oh my God, your body has transformed, I want to work out with you, I'm proud of you type thing. And it's more for motivational purposes at that point. It's not like, oh, here I am, look at me. It's like, well, yeah, look at me, but look at what it took me to get here.
Yeah, it's important. The mental and physical shift into that is huge, and that definitely is going to be the theme, I think, to both of our lives, really, but to yours, like I said, this is about you. And to see, like I said, that mental shift with the physical, I think, is exactly what people want. And you'll change mentally regardless. Like, if you change physically, you have no choice. You will change mentally.
It's just like part of the process.
There's nothing you can do. If you suffer and you push yourself that much, and you are that disciplined, and you start to learn consistency and what that actually means, it's not perfection in the day, it's consistency in the month or weak. If you learn that it's always okay, I got right back up. That day wasn't the best day. The next day, boom, it's a new one. You just start over. Once you start to realize that, the mental changes you get by default just because of that attitude is amazing. So you definitely will see that seep into all avenues and areas of your life. So I think that's a really valuable thing, to do. I really do. And then we talked a little bit off camera too about, it's like, well, why is it's not a bad thing to be able to show off your physical strength or body or whatever. Like, people hate whether whether you're out of shape, in shape, skinny, muscular, obese, whatever. People are going to hate, so there's also this, it's like, in a way, it's like, dude, just be yourself. And that's the thing, it's authenticity. So when we're trying to find ourselves, like we do, if you drug up, 13, 15 years ago, my Facebook post, I would, oh no. Like, everybody does that. Like, we all do that. We're like, oh, please God, no.
Yeah, because of growth. It's
growth. Yeah. So you're not even that person anymore. You're not even in that mindset. So when you see, yes, a person's physical body changing, just know, you're gonna see their mental changes too, and that's also why we talked about previously. Those people start to drop off. Those people, because you're not the same anymore. There's nothing. And you'll lose followers, and people start, oh my God. It's like, dude, what are you doing? Like, if you're, this is the mental side of it. Mental health, your mental health will suffer if you're always worried about your followers on Instagram, on Facebook, on this, because you're holding yourself to such a limited life of pleasing everybody else but yourself. It's such a strange thing. It's like, I know I used to do things because I'm like, man, I'll probably get a lot of likes on that. Like, I would. Everybody just be honest.
I think it comes too because I did used to model.
Yeah.
So social media had to be a strong presence for me because I was using it as sort of like a portfolio. And then I would find jobs on there because social media became like the way to find casting calls and fashion shows and link up with photographers and get photo shoots, things like that. Now I don't really do the modeling so much anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not opposed to it, like if something good comes my way, but I also just was like limiting myself.
Yeah.
Like, I know that I'm more than just a sexy picture on Instagram. There's so much more to me than that, and I am proud of that. And I think that I have shifted my posts and my social media, the things I even follow and the things I look at, to just like things that are good for me and my mental health. And
you're choosing. You have the choice too, and this is valuable. A valuable thing you just said. Like, you have the choice to. You can see what you want to see.
Yeah.
It's like, that's another thing. It's like, if you don't like it, change the channel.
Right.
So, and you have the power to control your mental health on what you actually want to see. And that's, I tell people that all the time. It's like, if you want to laugh a little bit more, look at things that are funny.
Yep.
If you're interested in nature, go follow a bunch of nature stuff. Like, you have the power to change at any time. But what we all do, or what a lot of people do, they'll sit and suffer with constantly scrolling. Oh, their life is amazing. My life is shit. It's like, dude, that's not a good way for your mental health to be. So definitely
doesn't resonate with me anymore.
Yeah, it's not.
It's almost
it's got to go. It's got to go. So kind of close on what we were. If you had to say something to people that are in that same situation that you're in, where you're trying to really struggle, get yourself out of that situation, that crazy cycle, that you're in, and then all of a sudden you really start taking control of your health and wellness or your life, what would you say to them? Like, what's the good?
So I knew you were going to ask me this question. So I took the glasses off and got prepared.
Yes.
But no, I think that when we ask people, I think it's important for us to remember that we have to grow through what we go through.
Mm-hmm.
And then I found this like acronym. That's why I pulled up my phone for the word grow. It was like get rid of old ways.
Yeah.
I liked that a lot. So I just think that you have to grow through what you go through as people, you, me, everybody. We have to do that. And when you wake up every day with the mindset that you can and you will, you're more likely to get things done because no one's going to force you to do it. No one's holding your hand through life. You know what I mean? But with that being said, I think that it is important to find someone or people that are in your corner and have the same mindset as you. And if those people don't resonate with you anymore, let them go. Like for me, I know that I've had you for the last like 5 years pushing me to be the better version of myself. And then the last couple of years I've had my boyfriend, and you both have shifted my mind for the better in different ways. And I appreciate that. And I know that I need more people like that in my corner. And that's why my circle has dwindled over the years, because I know that I'm growing and I'm growing through what I'm going through, and I'm just trying to be the better version of me.
It's huge.
And I think that that's just something that everybody has to remember.
It's huge. I really like that acronym. I like the way, because
Get rid of old ways.
Yeah, get rid of old ways. And I think too, it's like when you get rid of old ways and you're growing through those types of things, it's a really good crossover to, it's like, hey, just kind of leave that old you behind. Mm-hmm. You know, it's like you shed your skin, it burned off like dead wood. You know, it's gone now. You know, so, and then like you're saying, when you're around a circle like that, that's huge. And then you realize you do. We talked about this. It's kind of like I said, been the theme of this episode is like, hey, you're going to leave people behind. You're going to leave old friends behind because they didn't grow with you, and it's okay. Fine, yeah.
I think that I finally gotten to a point where I've taken those things and I'm starting to run with them, like growing through what I go through, and you know, nobody's holding your hand through life. Like, it's nice to have the people in the corner, but they can't do the work for you. You have to do it yourself.
Exactly. And that's why it's like, it's nice to have the people in your corner cheering you on, because you're the one that's doing the work.
Right.
And then hopefully, I mean, it doesn't have to be, but a lot of the times those people, it is reciprocated. You're doing something and then you're feeling that support as well. Mm-hmm. And it isn't a give and take, but it is a giver's gain. Like if you give so much to the people in your corner or so much to the people in your circle, it does come back to you. It really does. But if all you do is take, all you do is drag, all you do is grab and pull, you're just going to pull down people with you, which is why it's important sometimes. It's really important to try to lift others up. But if you're not there yet in your life, you can't do that with other people yet. You have to kind of take it slow.
Where am I going to take you?
Where are you going to take you?
Down with me?
I'm going to take you down this level with me. Yeah. So I think that's a huge message. I appreciate that. That I'm gonna use that now. And seriously, thank you for doing this.
I found that on Instagram.
I found that on the Instagram.
But that's the kind of things that, you know,
that you follow and that you'll look at now. So seriously, Kayla and Nicole, thank you so much for doing this. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Ben. It was a pleasure.
And we are out of here. Bye.
Bye, guys.
I feel like the Hulk today.